All right, so this is going to be part 3 of our tutorial series on building an invoice application. As you can see here, I'm going to go to the login page, check out what we got so far, and kind of come up with a plan of how we want to continue this. So where we got our login for the dashboard, we go to customers, customer dashboard. That doesn't go anywhere. Create a customer, we have that in there. How that all works. Now, one thing we could actually go back and do here right away is with regards to our navigation bar. So let's go to our navigation bar here, resources, views, I believe it's in common, nav bar top. All right, actually, admin, that's where we need to be. Now in here we have dashboard, so what we're going to do is we'll say route, and we're going to put admin dot dashboard. Okay, now let's see, of course, if this is still in our routes, and yeah, we have that in our route there. So perfect, good to go. Good to go. Now that's hooked up. The other thing we know we can do in our application is we can create a customer. So in this case, I'm going to say customer lorem, and we'll put in some real data here. Address, we'll say Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and we'll say customer at .com. All right, no facts, and we'll just say lorem ipsum is the customer name. So let's go ahead and save that. Okay, perfect. So now we have 2 customers in here. The other thing we're going to want to hook up is basically a view for this. So kind of a show, if you will. And because right now we can create one, we can store what we created. Now we need to actually go in there and be able to view it. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say, let me see here. I'm just going to preface this with show. You don't necessarily have to preface it with show. You could also do something like put in the customer in here for their ID. If you're going to do this, it's going to be very important to put this at the end after you've checked all of these other ones with the URLs, because if you don't, what's going to happen here is it's going to assume that it belongs to this route, because there's only basically one URL parameter that we put in after the slash, right? So in this case, this is one reason I like to separate it out with, I'll say show instead, okay? And we'll put this method in the customer's controller. And we'll say show down there. We'll say name show. And let's see here. Customer's controller. And we can see we already have one that's in here. It says ID. Right now, we will say customer. Class is already imported, which makes sense. Okay. And we're going to return a view here of admin dot customers dot show. Okay, and then we use compact to put the customer variable in there for use within the blade template or within our view, right? So now we got to go create that view. So let's go down to resources, views. We'll go admin, customers, and look at that, show is already in there for us. So we're going to go ahead and generate a template, an admin template, okay? And we're going to say customer details in here. And then under text muted, what we can do is actually drop the customer's name. Now, if we're looking for parameters in here, let's fire up Tinker. Okay. Tinker's a great command line tool. It's included with every single one. And what we're going to do is we're going to go app models, and then we're going to go customer, and we'll just pull out the first record. You could pull out all if you wanted to. Basically the same methods you would use within your controller there are going to work. And we can use it to query a model as well, right? So let's say first, so we know we have this one here for name. Name will go up here, pretty straightforward. Options, I mean, there's some options we're going to want in here, like, maybe if we want to go edit customer, this could take us to basically an editing page. I'm going to go ahead and put a route in here. We'll go admin customers edit, and then in here we're going to put in the customer ID. Let's set that route up right now, just so as soon as we're finished this we can do that. We'll go customers, and because edit is going to be a get, because it brings us to that view basically, we'll do this. Customer, and then we're going to go customers controller at edit. Okay. And this is the way I like to organize my controllers personally, is I'll have a bunch of I'll group my gets, my posts, my puts, and then my deletes. So obviously you're likely going to have less posts, puts, and deletes in there. But I mean, the reality is, if you find that you're getting way too many gets, too many options, then likely you're going to really need to work on breaking out your code into more groups, just so that it keeps it cleaner, much easier to navigate. And it's a good practice is to build it out this way, right? So customers controller edit, let's go over to our customers controller, find our edit method, and just like we have customer up there, it's going to be the same deal, right? And for now, what we're going to do is we're going to return customer, and this is just going to print it out as good old JSON on our screen. Now, if we go over to show in here, we got edit set up, edit customer. That's great. We're looking good so far. Now we can go actually down to our content section. And what is going on here? Div. Let's go back up to our template. What's the deal here? This one should have another \t. Okay. So next time we generate a template, the indentation should be much better there. Now in here, I'm just going to create a table, and it's basically going to be table without a head, table hover, table borderless. All right. And we'll just create a body in here basically, and we'll start inputting details. So th will say name, and then we'll go td, and then we'll put in basically customer dash name. And we're going to print it out like this all the way through, right? So let's give ourselves a few. I highlight it, I go Shift Alt and then down arrow, and that's a much more efficient way to do it. So let's call this address 1 because we want to pull address 1 out of there. And then we'll say address 2. Okay. City. Province. Country, and then email. It's kind of time consuming, but that's okay. We'll say phone 1. Phone 1. All right, let's copy a couple more down. We'll say phone 2. You know what? Let's go fax. You'll see why I did that in just a moment here. Because in order to highlight everything, I like to highlight them by word. You double click on it, highlights the whole thing. Then we could change it. We can also, but if I have, space and then 1, then it's just more work for me. So it's a lot easier if I just do this. I hope that makes sense. It's nice to, try to find any edge you can to get faster, right? To write code faster, more efficiently, things like that. So, okay, so this is pretty straightforward here. One thing we will do though is we could show when it was created. That might be a nice feature to have. All right, and then 2D. And, let's go ahead and we'll create a method to handle our spitting out dates here. Definitely a few ways you can do this. You could create an artisan directive, but I'm just going to create basically a folder that's going to hold a bunch of custom classes. And then we'll put the custom classes in the autoloader. Sorry, not the autoloader, but I'll show you in one of our config files. So in here, I don't have it in here yet. So what I'm going to do is create a new folder. I'm going to call this folder helpers. And then in here, I'm going to create a new file. And I'm going to call this dates.php. Okay. And because there's probably going to be about 2 or 3 different ways we might want to format dates when we're viewing the information, we'll create a specific class that enables us to do that. So pull in a namespace here. The namespace is based off basically the document root, which is labeled as app in our situation, helpers, okay, and then it'll load it from there. And we'll create the class here. Is going to be dates, and all of the methods within this class. And don't be too confused, like if you aren't too familiar with object-oriented programming, we're not going to get necessarily too deep into it. But we're going to create a bunch of static methods. Static methods are basically methods or functions that we can use without having to create a whole instance of the actual class. So it's just going to return one value. We don't have to, go through a constructor, things like that. So we'll say public static, and then it's going to be, I'm going to call it pretty date, okay? And in here we'll pass our actual date, and then, public static function. There you go, that helps. Really simple. We can just return this using our date function, and we'll say month written out, day, year. That's how that should be. And we'll use string to time, and we'll insert our date in here. Okay, and that's how it should spit it out for us. Now what we need to do is we need to go over to our one of our config folder, and then app. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Not providers. Aliases. So we're going to use aliases. We could use these within our views like we're going to now. And I do like to try to keep things as alphabetically ordered as possible because typically with my workflow, I will create a lot of access right from the view to certain methods that help me do classes and methods that help me do checks on data integrity, things like that before I view things. So that's why I like to put it in here. It keeps my controllers a lot cleaner in terms of code. And the nice thing about this, I should mention, is with these aliases, they always get lazy loaded. So it's not like all these classes get loaded. It's only based upon what you use. So if you only call auth, which we do pretty much, we call auth in every request. Or if you, and you probably saw the auth for one of the blade directives. So that'll make use of this. But it's not going to load all of them, right? Just a couple of them are loaded in any given view. Now, I do like to keep it organized by alphabetically. And so if we go back to our class, which is dates, we need to reference app helpers. And this one's going to be dates. So let's look for D. Right? Dates. This is definitely one of my favorite features. So app helpers, dates, class. Okay, so that's loaded in there now. Now we can use it anywhere in our view. So referencing the method, we need to reference pretty date. Okay. And then as we go through this, we'll probably add additional things in here, right? So now we just call dates like this. We don't need to put in, like, say, \app, \helpers, anything like that. It's just going to pull in from its aliases, basically. And we'll say pretty _ date. And then we're going to put in our customer - created at. And if you weren't aware of it yet, you'll see down here that I have created at being pulled from that part of the model. The other one we want to put in here is going to be last updated. That might be something that we're interested in knowing. Like maybe we need to send out a request to our customers to update their contact information, things like that. It'll allow us to do some, we can either view that really quickly here as a heads up or something, but we'll see. Updated at. Okay. The first value, if we just created it and haven't edited it, is going to be basically the creation date. As you can see down here, these match exactly. So, okay, so now we should be able to view our view. Okay, let's hook that up to our... Okay, what's the other thing we need to do here? Customer date, admin. It should be under index. So admin customers index. That's exactly where that is. And we can go in here and put our route, which is going to be admin.customers.show. And then we're going to enter in the customer ID. Okay, another thing we can put in here while we're at it is our route for the editing, because we've already created that route, so it's not going to show as something that's broken. .customers.edit, and then once again, customer-ID. All right, perfect. This is where we're at. So let's go back to this view. We'll refresh. No errors. No errors is good. I don't like how big these buttons are, by the way. I think I want to change them up by adding a little class. Button small. Okay, to me that looks a lot better now. So now we can view it, and you see it spits out this information in here. If we go to options, we can also now edit the customer. And as you saw in the controller, it basically just dumps the data for us, right? A cleaner way to dump things out if you want to is, let's go to our customers controller. Sorry if I'm going really fast, guys. I like to do these videos fast because I want to get through, obviously, all the content and building it. We can dump or we can DD. DD is die dump, basically. So it's going to kill the execution after, but it's going to give us a slightly nicer view of it, right? So it'll tell us things like, okay, what table is this from? What's the primary key? And so on and so forth. you can do this with requests as well. You can always die dump a request. Often I don't, unless I'm dealing with, say, uploading files, things like that, okay? Which is probably something that we should add to this is basically giving every customer an image. But when I review some of those image classes, or because there's some image classes that I use sometimes, or sometimes I'll use the functions provided within PHP to modify images, to scale them down, things like that. In this case, I think it would be a good idea to be able to add some kind of an avatar or something for the user. But we're not going to do that right now. We want to get the base functionality of this up and running. Yeah. Admin, customers, edit, and then we're going to put customer in there, right? Sorry, no. What am I doing? What's the matter with me, huh? Okay, now we're going to put customer in there. Now let's go over to our resources folder, views, admin, customers, and we're going to want to create an edit file in there. And this is where we're going to be able to see if our templates look good. So admin template, and you can see the spacing. No, same deal, hey? Okay, let's go back up to, this is just a tweak. It's not, obviously it's not critical to anything here. HR, div. I wonder if that means I have to do it to everyone. Okay, so where's the issue? Underneath row, everything needs to be pushed over one, all the way down to HR. Okay, so HR, from HR to row, basically. So from HR, /T. Actually, we'll make really quick work of this. You can use the multi-cursor by clicking on Control and then clicking in that specific area. Again, a little productivity hack. How far did I say we had to go? Right, yeah, right up to just underneath the row. So again, /T in here. Okay, now I'm going to go back to this, go Control A, I'm going to delete everything again, and I'm going to repopulate that template. And how does that look? Much better. One other thing I want to put in here is, and believe me, you might look at this and say, oh, it's a lot of extra work, and I just want to code. But once you refine these, I mean, ultimately we're going to be creating quite a number of views. Oops. In any application. So you would think any application of some sort of scale. And then I'm just going to put content here. Okay. Now visually everything is a lot more appealing. Okay, let's try this again. Control A, /, and we'll go admin template, content here. Love it, looks great. And we'll put in here edit customer. So much like you saw for the creation stuff, very similar, right? We'll do customer name in here. Options, let's just put this as view customer. And we have a route for that already, so that's really good. And we'll go admin dot customers dot show. And then we'll put in our customer ID in here. Now, underneath the content, we're going to want to create a form. It's going to be very similar to the create form that we had in another file. So let's save some time by going over there. And we'll go down to form action. Okay, go back to the other one in here. We'll click V. One thing you could do technically is you could create a main template file, which I'm just trying to think. How do I want to do that? The thing is we want our data to automatically appear in here. right, from the form. And we want to create kind of some checks in here, like, if the old value is there, as in, somebody's made a mistake with the validation, and then it kicks you back and shows the errors. What we want to do is decide, okay, well, do we show them old, or do we show them, a different one, basically. So we could create another helper to do this, and then we could create a template file. That's one way we could make this a little more efficient. You know what? Maybe what we'll do here is, as part of one of the future lessons, is I'll give you kind of like a refactoring, just to clean things up. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But at any rate, we have our form in here. We want to send it over to update, and we want to add another blade directive here, which is going to be the blade method, and the method that we're going to put in is put. Let's go back to our routes here under customers, and like I said, I like to group it this way, so let's group it, and we'll call this one update, and then we'll have to specify the customer that we actually want to update. And we're going to call this update. All right. Name is going to be update. Now, when we actually load this, missing parameters for admin customers update. Okay, so let's go back to our edit, and the parameter that it's talking about is right in here. And that's an ID, and the way we know that is if we go back to customers, we see we have this in here. So that parameter has to be there, right? Okay, perfect. Now what we want to do is we want to get their stuff to show up in here for that. So I'm still trying to decide, do I want to, because I like to be as efficient as possible up front for things that we might be able to use, right? So I could create a helper class to manage this. And we could call it like pop form data or something. If old name, I'm just trying to think how I want to do this. Okay, well, for now, let's do it this way. We could do like not equal to, or is set. Is set is an option as well. So if old is set, then basically we're going to display old with a name. And if it's not set, then we want to go customer dash name in there. Okay, so let's try this. Reset. Okay, so yeah, old isn't set in there. We'll do one more just to verify. We'll say old dash address underscore 1 and customer dash. Okay, so this is one thing I do want to do. Okay, because we know we need customer name as validation in there, let's go to our controller. We'll go to update. We need to create the request in there. That's kind of a given. We need to also put customer in here as well. Okay. And then we're going to do $request validate. And let's validate some stuff, right? So name, one of the required fields for sure. We'll say required. That's all we're going to do in here for now, because I want to break this and see kind of how that all goes down. So let's So let's just change this to Springfield. Let's do this. We'll click on save. Okay, name fields required. And you can see Springfield is kept. Otherwise, yeah, Springfield course. Okay, so that works. I'm just wondering what kind of a custom class I can build to shorten this up. Customer address 1. I mean, there's definitely a couple things I can do. For now, let's see here. Because that might not be set. Okay. Hold address 1. No, we'll leave this as is. That's fine. So we got old in all of them, basically. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to copy all this as I go down. And we'll say address 2. Address 2. City. Okay. Province. Alright. Country. Oops. Email. Phone _1. _2. Fax. You know, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking how I would build out that particular class. And you know, I've kind of got it figured. Just good person. Okay, let's verify this is all. Everything makes sense. Okay. It's populating everything in there. Yes, absolutely it is. Oh, what's with the double squirrely brackets that we got there? We got some double squirrely brackets to take care of. Yep, there you go. Okay, how's our view look? I think our view looks pretty good. Can we go back to view customer? Yeah, absolutely we can. That's not a problem. What else? What else? Edit customer. Okay. By the way, if you're viewing this on a laptop, it's going to look a lot different for you, I think. This is starting to irritate me with the breadcrumbs, the way those are up here. I don't know if that's what I want. One other thing I like to put in there, at least for debugging purposes, is going to be things like their specific IDs. So if I have to reference something else, like invoices, looking for invoices with IDs, just for development in the meantime, what I'm going to do is in here, I'm going to say env. Now env, what it does is it latches onto our local environment file in here, and I'm going to check to see if app_env is local. If it's local, then that's the only time I want to display this data, right? So NV, okay. We'll say if it's equal to local, then, oops, then what we want to spit out here is going to be is the customer ID. Actually, we want to do a string. This is what the string is going to look like. Okay. Am I happy with that? I think I'm happy with that. Otherwise, we don't want to spit out anything. So there you go. That's an ID. Now, if we want to, I'll show you how that works as well. Let's call this, instead of, we'll call this production. Well, we might have to clear our cache. PHP artisan cache clear. Come on. Oh, why does it still show? Queue, notifications, migrate, make. Oh, let's go config clear. PHP artisan. Okay. Nope, that does nothing for us. Okay, let's leave that as is for now. That's really weird. UI auth telescope. Yeah. So it shows production. Okay. Well, clear all compiled view files. Equals local. I'm going to comment this out. I want to see what the deal is. So it says local, but it's in production. So there's something I'm missing here that I got to clear. Discover make. Let's try that again. Config clear. I mean, we just did that, did we not? Still says local. Okay, so I mean, failing that, we can just restart our server. Okay. And now let's go to, well, we're going to do this first. Let's print out what it is. And now you can see it changes over to production. So in here, now it's not going to display. Okay. Perfect. Not disappointed in that. Okay. Now let's do this. Let's reload that. Okay, so you see how that all works in there. Okay, options view customer. All right, so now we're ready to go in here and we're ready to basically just update the values in there. So let's close out our env file. Let's go to our controller. And the only thing we're going to validate is the name. And we want an email, right? And then what we can do in here is we can say, $ customer. I like to use update here, and then I'll just do request all, because we're not sending anything else through, right? And then we'll go return view. No, sorry. Redirect. We'll go to route, which is going to be admin.customers.show customer ID. Yep. Perfect. Okay, and let's send a little message over here saying success. You've successfully updated the customer. Okay. Let's see what we got. I shouldn't have to refresh anything. Let's change a few things in here. Just say edited. Edited. Oops. I'm going to do this with everyone. Oh. Let's go save. Edited, edited, edited. -ed, edited, edited. So everything took, and we can see last updated changes in here. All right. So let's go back. Of course, let's go edit customer. We know it works. We're happy, right? I hope we're happy. Save it again. Okay, everything looks good. Okay, what else? Pretty satisfied with that. You've successfully updated the customer. What else do we need? So I would say we have our customers all lined up here. Probably the next thing we're going to want to do is we'll want to create some invoices for them, right? So we need to figure out kind of how we want to do that. Okay. So we have dashboard. Oh, one other thing here, customers dashboard, it might be nice for options to put the create option in there. Hope you agree. All right, we'll say create customer. Admin dot customer dot create. That doesn't make sense. Let's try that. Okay, there we go. Options, create customer, and then in here we can go ahead and create a customer. All right, so I would say let's give ourselves the ability to create an invoice. I mean, there might be some other things that we want to do in here, right? Like for settings wise, there might be some other things we want to do in here. We might want to create a taxes table. Or like maybe a default tax table. Let's do this. I don't want to get too deep into organizing tables and that. What we'll do is, well, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and close everything in here. I'm going to go ahead and just add this to the repo. And we'll say customers. You know what? We're not done actually. We need to do one other thing, and that is provide the ability to delete the customer. So I'm going to want to do that from the show view of the actual customer. So let's go to resources, show, and I'm going to create a little form in here. It's going to be route. Method is going to equal post. PCSRF. What's going on there? Method is going to be delete. Dot destroy. Dot delete. How do we want to do this? Don't need anything else besides that to delete it. Let's give this an ID though. We'll create this one to be customer form. All right, and then in here we're going to add and just so we're covered from other browsers, I'll go style display none. Inline goodness there. Delete. Let's give this a class. First of all, we need to do drop down dash item. And then we need to, on click equals prevent default. And then what we want to do is ID, we'll pull in that ID of delete customer form. .submit. Anything else I'm missing here? Let's see, delete customer form, submit. We probably want to put some kind of a guard in there to make sure we give them an opportunity to say, hey, don't delete me yet. So let's see here. That's okay. Now we'll do it this way. We might switch some of these views over to view at some point, and then have other ways to manage it. So in the meantime, I'm just going to leave it like this. And customers controller, destroy really simple method, right? Return, and then we'll basically return them to the list of customers. So redirect route admin dot customers dot dashboard, and let's send that over with a warning. I mean, we were successful at it, so we don't want to go danger. So warning, we'll say you have successfully deleted the customer. And now what we need to do is we need to go to routes, web, customers, and delete. And destroys the method. Okay, let's check it out. Let's make sure it all works. We'll go customers dashboard. We'll go ahead and we'll view the customer lorem. We'll go options. We'll delete this one. And for some reason, it's not bringing in our alerts. Let's go ahead and we'll take components alerts.pack, because we made an adjustment basically to our templates, right? In here, and this wasn't one of them that made it on there. And then we're going to want to, just to confirm, add some margin on the top of 3. No, that's not what we want to do. Oh, that's silly. Okay. No, that should have worked. Oh, you know what the problem is? We haven't actually added a warning one in there. So let's go ahead and do that now. We'll go resources, views, and your components, alerts, pack. See, I've only got danger in there and not success, right? So we'll say bf session warning warning in there. Alert dash warning. And now that should be all good. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, let's do this once more and then we'll create the customer all over again. You know what, let's say, be a little more explicit. Delete customer. Done. Okay, great. Let's create one more customer here. Okay. Customer 1. We won't be late, so we'll do 32 Spooner Street. Not a real place. Email, we'll say and we'll say John Doe. Okay, perfect. Everything works in here. I'm happy. I hope you guys are too. Let's add all of these. And then let's commit, store it in the repo. You know what, actually? Replaced with code snippets. I don't know what branch I'm dealing with right now. Master. Get checkout, and I'm going to go ahead and call this lesson 3. So if you want to compare it, basically, you can. Let's add that to this. We'll say customers created. No, we'll say customers CRUD functionality for your reference. Okay, push origin. Let's see. Okay, we're good to go. By visiting, good. I've found 3 vulnerabilities. Okay, well, to deal with this right now, so we will bypass that. Okay, perfect. So I'd say that's about the end of the lesson here for customers. Next thing we're going to focus on is the invoicing. So we're going to want to create an invoice, add some settings, things like that. Nothing in there. Recent invoices. And yeah, deal with some fields, you name it, things like that. Okay. All right, we'll see you guys in the next lesson.